Hey there, this is Matt at State of Flux here with another one of my Godzilla reviews, the penultimate of the Heisei era Godzilla films, Godzilla vs. SpaceGodzilla. Now this is one as a kid I always wanted to see because SpaceGodzilla is the coolest looking character, at least in all the digital fan art, the illustrations and stuff like that, and this has a compelling fucking poster. Um, so I always wanted to see it, but I'd heard that it isn't particularly great. So I never did. I never picked it up. This was my very first time seeing Godzilla vs. SpaceGodzilla, and I think it is, at this point, easily the worst installment of the Heisei era films. For the first half of the film, I was honestly thinking that it was bad, and I was really disappointed because I've really enjoyed the Heisei films to this point. I think each film after Biollante has been a little bit diminishing returns, but each very good, well, not being as good as their previous. This one follows that track, but it does come together well in the final act of the film. The final act of the film, when Godzilla versus the SpaceGodzilla happens, it picks itself back up to at least being watchable, if the most meh of the Heisei films. And the thing that I found most shocking was SpaceGodzilla, for as cool and amazing as he looks in like the video games, in the in the poster art, in any of the illustrations and digital art I've seen. On the screen, he kind of looks awful. Like I thought prior to this, all the monsters looked great in these Heisei films. Biollante still stands as like the best looking of the Heisei films. Like that is a fucking fabulous looking monster. SpaceGodzilla in concept is amazing. In actualization, looked kind of poor, clunky, and just remarkably unreal. And while we're on that subject, this film also features the return of what they're calling Little Godzilla. And they redesigned him to look incredibly unreal. And, like, he looks like a cartoon brought to life. He almost looks like a little kid in a cartoon costume. And it just isn't very good. He looked better in the previous movie. He, like, this version of him is awful. And the inclusion of his character, I don't really understand why it's there. I researched this film after I watched it, and the original concept of Godzilla vs. SpaceGodzilla, which they'd originally titled Godzilla vs. AstroGodzilla, was that the Biollante spores that carried Godzilla's cells went into space, so there was no wishy-washy nonsense. Firmly, Biollante is what causes SpaceGodzilla, or AstroGodzilla, and he came to Earth, and he was a force in opposition to Godzilla. He was an albino-looking Godzilla, all kind of white and blue, that could shoot ice breath instead of the cosmic radiation. And he created like an ice world at his disposal, hence all like the crystallization and stuff. That's pretty much the only thing that kind of carried over. The film was too ambitious. It also worked in like Mechagodzilla, and it worked in Little Godzilla more fervently into the plot of the film. It was kind of like it didn't really seem like a Heisei film. It seemed more like the old versus films of the Showa era, which isn't to say that it's bad, but I still that movie sounds much more compelling, much more interesting, and one that I would rather watch than the one that we ultimately got. However, it also doesn't feel like it would be a fit in the Heisei films that exist. So I think this movie was just kind of always doomed to be the weak sauce one of the bunch. That said, what I do like about this film is how it ties into the other Heisei era films. Finally, the psychic girl does something. Her character, who's been in all the movies from Biollante forward, has had almost no impact on each of them outside of communicating with Godzilla and Biollante. In this, suddenly she whips up her power she's a little Dark Phoenix girl, Jean Grey. And so I liked the continuity there. I like the callback to characters are related to characters who had died in previous films. There's this movie tethers SpaceGodzilla to either being birthed from Biollante or Mothra when Mothra and Batra headed up into the cosmos. This one tightly connects all the previous movies. It just isn't a particularly good movie, so it's a shame that like everything seemed to be leading to this. But yeah, it's okay. It's not bad. I wanted to like this movie, but I get why people don't. I wouldn't go so far as to say that I don't like it, because it's really not that bad. It's just also really not that good. And of the Heisei films, this is the least likely one I'll journey back to. Let me know what you thought about this film in the comments down below. Next week we have our final Heisei Godzilla film, which is going to bring a tear to my eye. So far, I'm not going to lie, the Heisei era films, most of which I had not seen prior to this, was my favorite era of Godzilla. I liked the interconnectivity of them. I like the reinterpretation of these monsters. So it's kind of bittersweet coming to the end. And the end of Destroya does in fact bring end to this story that we've followed from Godzilla 1985 or The Return of Godzilla forward. So let me know what you thought about this comment in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and peace. I'm trying to do that. Peace.